Hey everyone, this is Saddam Salim. I'm actually running for Senate District 37th. As an alumni of George Mason University, I can go back to my story of how I got here, from a third world country because of environmental issues. And America was the place that took us in. They gave us that opportunity that you all talk about, policies that have been in place when you talk about housing, when you talk about healthcare, when you talk about public education. Those are the policies that has helped me. And this was an opportunity for me to give that back. I stayed here and I saw other candidates talk about how bad our public school systems are, but I'm a product of that. Somebody who's gone to our Fairfax County public schools, somebody who's gone to our community colleges, who's gone to George Mason, not once but twice, because it was affordable, because it was for folks that could come here and get a better education. I run a primary and I want to continue to do the same thing on issues when we talk about abortion access, reproductive care, when we talk about preventing gun violence. Those are some of the issues that I have talked about, and we will continue to do that as well. And of course, my opponent here is also running in the November election. But what the district really needs and what the district is looking for is change. It's someone who can bring in new ideas. All I hear is, issues, 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 no solutions. When you're going up against a one-issue candidate, that's what they can talk about, is just issues and problems without any solutions. So I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate George Mason University putting this together, and I look forward to your questions. So, when it comes to international attacks, when it comes to international issues that, I just want to clarify, it's not the roles and responsibilities that fall under the realm of a state senator. To that point, when it comes to the attack by Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, on innocent civilians, that is something I condone, that is something I denounce, because it is hurting innocent civilians, kids and children that just wants to be in a peaceful place. And that's where I stand with that, and I do support what all the other Democrats have supported when it comes to Israel. And again, for me to not only take a statement on it, but also to realize is that no one wants a terrorist organization to attack innocent children. That's what it comes out to. Whether it's Arab Americans, whether it's folks in Israel, nobody wants that. And that's exactly what this was, is a terrorist attack on innocent civilians that are gonna push back the peace process that have been building for decades. I do not. Any terrorist attack on innocent civilians is something that no one, including myself, supports. At the end of the day, if you remove religion, if you remove everything else, how could you say we just attacked an innocent children? As Americans, we go overseas, we fight for people's freedom, for them to have a safe life out there, and that's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly why President Biden, why all congressional folks are sending funds to make sure that the Middle East is safe right now. When it comes to financial contributions, organizations, across the country will make contributions. At the end of the day, again, I stand, like I said, against denouncing terrorist attack on innocent civilians, and it is the right thing to do. And whether it's Engage, whether it's any other organizations, they have a list of things that they want to accomplish in terms of supporting candidates of color. So, when they came to me, they supported me as a candidate of color who's running to do better for Senate District 37th. To answer that question, how do, in order for us to help young folks that have disabilities, including mental health, is that, it all comes from funding. When we look at it, when you talk about young folks, you're talking about kids in elementary school, kids in middle school, kids in high schools. When they have mental issues, they're going to their teachers, they're going to their counselors who are not, ready to take on some of these roles and responsibilities. So at the state level, what we can do is fund additional counselors that are in the mental health space so that those students have the right guidelines, those students have the right folks they can go to and get the help that they desperately need. That's where we would start, is funding additional educational funding that are specific for mental health counselors, that are specific for the students that really need it. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be at the schools for about 8 hours. They're going to want to talk to someone about the issues that they're going through, and we have to start there. And when we're looking at mental health facilities throughout the Commonwealth, the nearest one to us is either in Culpeper County or further out. We need to look at how do we bring those facilities to where the young folks need them. And that's what something, the Democrats will look into doing, and that's what they've been doing over the years, is funding those programs so that whether it's a satellite location or a permanent location where young people can go get help, that's what's going to be readily available. So that's what we will do when we, continue to keep the Senate and get the House back. We're going to make a lot of these things where we saw during the COVID era that the increase in the need for mental health services, whether it's at the hospital or just at community centers or at schools, is in high demand. So we're going to have to look through funding. We're going to have to look through how we can help. Yeah, so when I talk about transportation on my website, I talk about the need for transportation. You look at, I grew up in the Fairfax Fall Church area where it used to be just 2 lanes on Gallows. And when we got the metro updated and we got more housing there, we built affordable housing around public transportation. That's what I talk about. I talk about the need for alternative ways of getting around. If you're a student and you can hop, go downstairs, get to the metro, get to class, and get back home, you don't need a car. You don't have to pay the car insurance. You don't have to pay the tolls that everyone's talking about. You don't have to do all that. So that's what I look at when it comes to transportation. Northern Virginia is an area where, regardless, with the way the area is economically developing, we have a need not only for transportation but also for affordable housing, and that includes, additional lanes on the highway. So, over the years, you may have heard, we expanded our lanes to 6 to 7, whatever it may be, but that wasn't for us. That was for the corporations that wanted the toll roads there. That was, our roads were leased out to those folks for hundreds of years under, different governors who made those decisions. And, my opponent talks about getting rid of the tolls, getting rid of, all that, getting rid of your car taxes. And I've heard other folks come up here talk about the same thing, but that's what they've been telling you for the last, 20 years. It's a bait and switch policy because they have nothing else to offer to you. That's what I'm saying is when it comes to transportation, we have to do a better job of finding where the issues are. We have to do a better job at saying, hey, if the tolls are too high, how do we alleviate that? How do we work with the companies that have the leasing rates that are managing this? Instead, we're the service providers to these things and they're collecting on the profits. So when I talk about transportation, that's how I talk about it. A lot of the students here that go to George Mason, they don't live on campus, they live off campus. How do you get them to college? Bus services. You put them on the Q bus. You put them on the local Fairfax connectors. Those are the things that we need to fund so that it's easier on students, it's easier on young people, it's easier on the elderly, that there's bus services, there's options for public transportation available at all times. Many of you know, I ran a primary talking about transgender rights, talking about making sure the LGBTQ community get the resources that they deserve. At the end of the day, when you talk about a specific community, when you talk about trans rights, it's students in schools. It's the suicide rates because they're not welcomed at places that they should be. That's how I see it. I think we need to empower our local school boards to follow those policies that they feel are right for their localities, are right for the students. At the end of the day, every student should be able to go to their schools, feel safe, because of their sexual orientation, because of the community they belong to. They should not be discriminated. As somebody who's an immigrant, I've been discriminated my whole life, including in this race. I cannot imagine that it's worse than what I have gone through, but it probably is. So, I support, the needs of that community. I want to make sure at the state level that we support policies that are going to help students, that are going to help young folks, that are going to help localities get through these issues. But at the same time, when I look at the other side, they're just attacking. And here's the thing. They realize that when they attack adults, they can fight back. So now they're attacking children because, they're thinking children can't fight back. So that's really what's happening. So when it comes to the transgender rights, I will fully support the democratic policies. I will fully support making sure that they get what they need when it comes to schools, when it comes to feeling safe in your own community, when it comes to riding the metro, you want to be able to feel safe. When it comes to just going anywhere, where there's other folks in society, you want to feel safe just like anyone else. So why should I, discriminate against that? Why should anyone discriminate against that? That's what it really comes out to, is that they're being discriminated and no one's standing up. You'll have a voice when I get to Richmond, and we'll continue to fight for those issues.